Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You can't go out, man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
There's a lot going on today. There's too much going on, I would argue. David hates when I say this to start any show. There is, I would say, it's an unprecedented degree of substitute teacher vibes going on in this studio today. Chris Cody's dancing.
Feels good, man.
Does it feel good?
It feels good to have you guys here. It does feel like substitute teacher vibes, but a good substitute teacher. Not one of those ones that just puts on a film. Someone that makes me think. And I leave that day saying, that person deserves their own. That should be a full-time teacher. That should not be a substitute teacher. I've never had that thought about a sub. I don't know why I'm doing this.
I'm with Chris. I woke up in a good mood today. I was excited to come into work. Yeah. That probably doesn't speak well to how I wake up other mornings.
Jess and I saw each other in the parking lot, and we literally skipped in together.
It's one of those things where, like, everybody feels like they're like at Six Flags. Everybody's in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. They seem to be. I'm watching Stugotz post pictures with Mina at like a sandwich shop somewhere, getting a po' boy together. And our task here, David, is to have more fun than them. That is our challenge.
That's going to be an easy hurdle. That's sort of like the hurdle when you started PTFO, right on the ground. I just want to get right over the bar on the ground.
That is what I said.
I'm already over that. I'm not jealous. I'm happy to be here in Florida with you. And Jeremy and Jessica and Chris.
What do you guys think about maybe tomorrow we get like a New Orleans style band to just be out there?
Yes.
So that we feel like we're, what we're missing, we get. All right.
When Amin by the way, Amin isn't here. Amin's supposed to be here. Amin is coming.
He was on the list.
He's coming in from the airport. Amin has the craziest life, I think, of anybody who does this show. He commutes across the country all of the time.
Thank you, Amin. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Amin.
Just hard worker. We appreciate you.
I don't think you can cut it that close.
Well, he has beyond cut it. He is not here.
True. It's not cutting close. He's late.
And so I want to get into the NBA stuff because last night I was at dinner with David. We were wearing bibs at Joe's Stone Crab, which if you've never seen David Samson get bibbed, it is a sight to see. He walks in. I mean, Joe's. Can I just, Chris? You've been to Joe's Stone Crab. Do we need to explain what Joe's Stone Crab is to people?
It's pretty self-explanatory title-wise, I think.
A stone crab place owned by Joe?
Yeah, right.
It's not exactly that, but it's a good place to start.
It kind of is.
I think it's the most profitable restaurant in America, one of them.
It's the sort of place where you walk in with David Samson, and they immediately come up and say, "Mr. Samson, it's so good to have you back." He is greeted. You were greeted by everybody we saw. I'm not exaggerating.
You must hate that. How many hands did you shake? Did you sanitize right after?
There were a few hugs.
There were actual
fist bumps?
full body hugs.
Are these fist bumps and handshakes happening while eating the crab?
No, you can't do anything once the stone crabs come, that's it.
Do you crack your own claws because you don't want them to touch your crab claws?
No, they
before
come.
You eat them?
They come pre-cracked.
I know, but
pay extra for that.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to. You'd get too many cuts on your hands.
You don't ask for the cracker yourself.
It's a good question by Jeff.
Joe's Stone Crab is the perfect place to avoid these kind of interactions because you can always just have the doctor hands of like I got crab hands, man. Can't fist bump, can't do anything. We'll talk later.
There was a lot of that, a lot of the hands up, a lot of extra napkins, a lot of me clearing the table so there's room for all of the stuff. While Pablo just sort of sits there oblivious. Eating dinner with Pablo is an interesting thing in that your level of oblivion, other than focusing on your social media, is quite interesting.
Other than focusing on my social media. What does that mean?
It means you're setting up pictures and you're posting and you're doing things while we're supposed to be focused and getting work done, and you're focused on what your next post is.
I went to dinner and David went to work. That's a you problem, buddy.
Do we have a picture of David in this bib?
Oh, yeah. You can pull it off of my, speaking of which, at PS Torre on Instagram. It's currently on my, there it is. I blacked out. I put a bar over the waiter's eyes for privacy reasons, but you could see what the vibe is.
Because you think you wouldn't want to be in a photo with me?
I just can't be sure.
You didn't get permission?
I did not get permission. But look at the glee.
It's a happy place. You didn't blur out the people in the background.
I think it's fine.
They are not on social media.
They're right there.
We ate at 5 p.m., and none of those people are scrolling through my Instagram feed.
I've never been happier that someone's wearing a bib. Good God, that shirt.
It's a great shirt. Don't you yuck on a Robert Graham yum. That would be inappropriate.
Can you guys Google Robert Graham for me and explain who this person is? Because I've never heard that name before in my life. Thank you.
I enjoyed going to dinner. I enjoy being in Miami. I don't feel like we're the substitutes.
I know, you always try to say that, and I'm like, dude, we're rolling out the AV cart. This is what we do.
I'm not.
Embrace it.
I've got 20 things that I think that would be interesting to discuss and that Dan would be proud that we're discussing, and you want to focus on your social media.
Well,
and not being upset with the meme.
I do want to bring us into what I was doing at dinner, because what I was doing while on my cell phone was actually doing a bit of reporting. That's what I do. I find stuff out. There's supposed to be a Kevin Durant trade happening, and it hasn't happened yet. And I'm not alone in saying this. Jeremy, the internet has been ablaze. Basically, everybody who's even tangentially involved with the NBA has been hinting, without reporting, Kevin Durant's about to be traded. And they're supposed to be, in my understanding, to be even more irresponsible, like a 3-team deal involving some major franchises. So what is the latest? What is the internet telling everybody?
Yeah, some of the latest reporting is insinuating that there could be a 3-team deal between the Heat, the Warriors, and the Suns.
Yes.
That lands Jimmy Butler in Phoenix and Kevin Durant back with the Golden State Warriors. I'm intrigued to see how and why the Suns would make that move given the circumstances. To me, the only logical explanation for moving Durant and bringing in Butler is if Booker genuinely wants to stick around for the long term and you're trying to extend a window with another competitive veteran wing. But you're a bad team right now if you're Phoenix. So acquiring Jimmy to then extend him, given the timelines, it might not make sense. They might even be welcoming him in with the idea of clearing out cap space in the offseason and tearing the whole thing down.
Jeremy, there's one thing that you're missing in this analysis, is that what Pablo was really saying is he was at the restaurant reading his phone, getting what he thought was inside information that we may have to leave dinner at any time, mid-claw, that this trade was imminent, definitely happening, and that he had somehow this connection. My guy's never wrong.
I have a guy.
He has a guy.
I have a guy.
He wakes up this morning, and it turns out the guy is not the guy. He's just a guy.
Yeah, Jeremy has the same guy, it turns out.
Apparently, that guy is waiting till 3 p.m. tomorrow just like every other guy. And you were offended to be so normal and out of the loop.
Can I clarify with Jeremy, though? Who are the Heat supposed to get in this?
I believe the Heat would be landing a combination of Andrew Wiggins and picks and other salary
that's what I
filler.
had heard from my guy. Which is funny. Look, I want to talk about ownership, though, because we just referenced just now the Phoenix Suns and their owner, Matt Ishbia. Like, what is he doing? I was hoping Amin would be here for this, but we can pick it up when he's also around. I think that the media in general, the way we talk about the Luka Doncic thing, is very backwards. I think it's remarkable how much we've missed the forest and the trees. This is a story about ownership. Nico Harrison has gone from a guy, speaking of guys, I've never seen a guy go from 0 to 1 million in terms of nobody knows who he is to everybody has a developed opinion. And we have talked so much about the strategy and the architecture of the trade. Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka. Rob Pelinka saying that Nico Harrison was basically in private conversations with him. They've known each other for years through Nike, and they've had to keep this secret, and they made it happen. David, this is a decision that must originate with the people who own the Dallas Mavericks.
100%.
And I don't think people even know largely that Mark Cuban no longer owns the Dallas Mavericks. And it infuriates me because I did an episode about who does own the the Dallas Mavericks, obviously, Miriam Adelson and her son-in-law, Patrick
Where
Dumont.
can we find that episode?
Pablo Torre finds out. It's available on YouTube. We have 99,200 subscribers. Come be our 100,000th.
What do you get for that?
You get a plaque. You literally get a plaque.
Are you going to give someone a plaque?
I mean,
for being the 100th?
No. I'm going to get a plaque.
Oh, so you just want people to join?
Yeah.
Show?
I mean, I'll send them a photo of the plaque.
Pablo thing, isn't it?
I digress. The point is, this is an ownership story, and it's less so a GM story, as much as the GM story is colorful and funny and amazing. But I just think you must follow the money here, and the money is a very clear. It's the plot, not the subplot.
So the money with the trade, I don't agree. I think you have to focus on the truth that Nico was not alone. There is a report this morning that J.J. Redick knew about the trade during the Knicks game, before the Knicks game, and that he was super excited and he was in a great mood and all happy, which would track that the coaches would know, while Jason Kidd sat there pretending I had no idea, looking like someone stole his lunch money.
That's my favorite part of this whole thing, just how awkward he looked during that press conference.
Isn't that amazing? Do we have a photo of Jason Kidd? Is there anything worse than being forced to go to a press conference and having to be the... What's the word for when you're not in the know? The straight man?
I think the long term is the time frame.
I was joking yesterday that do you think he tried to get out of that press conference? Do you think he was just you got this, right, Nico?
100%.
I got a call, and he's just no, I think we should be aligned on this. Come on up. And he's just oh, all right, I'll go up there.
We staff press conferences in advance. You say who's going to be up there. And if someone makes a big issue, if a player makes a big issue or the GM, you can get the AGM, but you need someone from the baseball front office to take the heat off you as having made the decision. And I don't know why Nico would bring him up there just to say that he's been neutered. It made no sense to me.
Well,
I'm not buying it.
Look at that face.
It's the theater of all of it, right? Look, and again, do I buy that LeBron didn't know about this? Do I buy that... Clutch was not involved when they represent LeBron and Anthony Davis in this, and they wouldn't have shared information. I don't buy any of that, obviously. But the owner story, this is a multi-billion-dollar franchise at the center of which is this kid, is this 25-year-old. And Nico Harrison does not have the power unilaterally to be I have an idea. This has to come from the people who own and bought the team.
No, the idea can come from the GM, but it has to get approved by the owner.
But my point is, the idea can't go anywhere
without the owner,
unless the person who pays the bills is yes. And so, to your point, though, I want to acknowledge the best case scenario for this story in terms of what were the Adelsons sort of aware of. It's that they didn't care, right? The question of how mad should you be as a Mavs fan at the owners of your team, the most generous interpretation of the order of events here is that they didn't care when Nico Harrison was I have an idea. They said, whatever, go do it. We're not going to spend a ton of time thinking about this. That's the most generous interpretation.
That's awesome. That's no meddling. Isn't that what you guys want from your owners? Letting the basketball and baseball people make the decision. You always complain about that. The owners are too involved.
I mean, I think you just want whoever doesn't suck at it to do it.
Make good decisions. I don't really care who does
so
it.
you can meddle if you're good, don't meddle
David,
if you're bad?
I think we've drawn the line. It's the Mendoza line exists in baseball. This is the Luka Doncic line. If your GM comes to you and says, I'm going to trade Luka Doncic right now, I just want the owner to say, that's an insanely stupid idea. That's all I want them to do. They don't have to do more than that.
Which is probably what Mark Cuban would have done.
So the Mark Cuban part of this is funny.
That's my favorite part of this whole story is the Mark Cuban part.
So refresh our memory, David, because you were out ahead on this, truly, when it came to Mark Cuban
getting crushed,
selling to Miriam Adelson and Patrick Dumont.
And all of you in there in that room crushing me. When I told you that Mark Cuban, when he sold the team, was done, and Mark Cuban was coming out and saying, oh, I'm still the head of basketball. I'm still maintaining my power. And I said, of course not. He sold the team. He's not the governor. He's not the alternate governor. He's nobody. He's nothing. He's sold. But Mark Cuban made us all believe that he's involved until the Luka deal. And then he said, oi, I better let people know I got nothing to do with this. So he basically changed his story.
You also said A.J. Brown would never play for the Eagles again.
I didn't say I got everything right.
Didn't you say you trade Mike Evans too?
I just want to be clear, Jessica, and I'm happy to go at this right now at 9:14.
I don't remember crushing you for Mark Cuban takes. I'm
Are
sorry.
you right in everything you say every time you say it? I just want to establish
not.
that. So that's a stupid threshold to even talk about. But the fact about Mark Cuban is simple
The
to me.
Samson line.
It's the Samson line is we're all going to be wrong if you're willing to take a position. Even you, Pablo.
I disagree.
Well, that's exactly. That's you being you, but you're not right all the time. For Mark Cuban,
I'm trying to set David up for a victory lap, and he's somehow turning it into a parade of
I don't want to
defeats.
take a victory lap. I want to explain the way it works when you sell a team is you don't get power. And Mark Cuban trying to mislead all of you bothered me greatly. And now the fact that he needed to separate himself from the Luka deal
legitimately
is
funny.
hilarious.
Yes.
Like he's been waiting. It's not been a month since he sold the team.
This is a story about the theater of power. Who actually has it, who pretends like they have it, who performs it. Nico Harrison is the greatest gift to Miriam Adelson. Not because he got Luka Donic out of there, because everybody is simply talking about his incompetence. It's the thing with Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell's great value to NFL ownership is that he is the meat shield. You criticize him and his weird press conferences, and you do so less so now, obviously, by the way, a separate story. But the whole point is, look over there at the guy we put on camera at the presser next to Jason Kidd. Don't look at the people who actually had the power to make this deal happen. It's an incredible gift we've given to a person, by the way, Miriam Adelson, just for the record here, was Trump's biggest donor in 2020. These are just facts, right? I'm not going to present them with any sort of editorializing. Just facts about who she is.
You can say that that's bad.
I just want to point out that she was Trump's biggest donor in 2020. She is a super donor to the Republican Party in its most mutated state. Mutated also feels objective at this point. And she is the architect, quietly, of Trump's whole policy in the Middle East, which, by the way, happens to be relevant certainly right now and
like
yesterday.
Today.
She has been all over the biggest story in sports and the biggest story in politics at the same time, and nobody is really talking about her. And that is an amazing bit of theater for us to miss.
I didn't want to miss it. I wanted to talk about it with all of you because it is true, and this happened. Her husband really started this with her, and when he passed away, she took the mantle.
Why is this more of an owner trade than any trade? Because by your lot, like, isn't every trade go through to the owner's desk? And it's like, I don't know what's the difference here between every trade.
It's a great question. To me, David, the reason I love that David is here, by the way, great question, Chris. It's because
thank you, everyone. It's so rare.
That's so rare.
When it comes to meat shields, and when it comes to people, executives running a team who must be trotted out there to be deeply unpopular in front of the press, to cover for the owner of the team, I present to you David Samson.
It was my job for 18 years.
Why'd you sign Heath Bell?
I mean, those were questions that were asked of me that you all blamed me for doing, and that was my job. It is Nico Harrison's job. Have you ever noticed you don't see owners at the firing press conferences? You see them at the hiring press conferences. That is a very common thing that owners think people don't notice. They send out the president or the GM when you're making a move or an unpopular trade, but then when it's a huge free agent signing, then the owner comes out. And so I think that it's important to know that one of the privileges of ownership is that you get to decide when you have your meat shield out and when you don't. But Adelson, as you know, you keep calling her the owner of the Mavericks.
Clarify.
You should clarify that it is her son-in-law who is the actual governor, the actual owner of the Mavericks, because she would not be approved by the NBA.
So this is something that we reported, and Pablo Torre finds out, that the NBA called me to push back on immediately. The concern had been Miriam Adelson, if you Google her, is so toxic that the NBA said we need a meat shield for her. And that ended up being, reportedly, according to our reporting, Patrick Dumont.
Well, that's a fact. That's not a report. He is the principal owner. He's the governor of the Mavericks.
But an anonymous guy who is her son-in-law, who is, in fact, the governor, who shows up at the meetings, and it's not Miriam. And all of this, again, is it a distinction without a difference? We can argue about that. Where the money comes from seems to be the most relevant thing, as always.
Her.
As I've been told many times, the answer to all of your questions is money. We should probably think about that. But to Chris's question specifically, like, what's different about this? Why is this an owner thing? It's because it's Luka bleeping Doncic. He's 25 years old. He is all of the superlatives we've all been saying. 5-time All-NBA, 5 years running, made the NBA Finals, blah, 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 blah. David.
If Popovich traded Wemby, would Popovich get crushed like this?
Yeah, I mean,
he would.
Yes.
So Popovich hasn't earned the right.
if he traded him for a 32-year-old, I think everyone would be like, "What did they just do that?"
If
for?"
Popovich traded Wemby at all, yes, I would say that the
Wow.
immediate reaction
People would have
be,
felt that way about if you traded him for Luka Doncic. Like, that's the air that Wemby is in at the moment, considering his age
Correct.
and impact on the
I
game.
also, I think we're like, the reason why this is also not just an owner thing, it's a GM thing, is because of how bad the haul was for Luka Doncic. That's where it's like, even if this is an owner thing, the GM's job is to like make those transactions make sense, and it just still doesn't really make a lot of sense.
This leads perfectly into my favorite conspiracy theory that I have seen about all of this, which you guys will enjoy because it involves ownership and manipulating politicians. So, the theory that I believe stemmed from a Facebook post is that's where it starts. I'm couching
As
it with
all-
that from the
all good
beginning.
theories
All
start
good
with a
theories begin with a
Facebook
Facebook post. Is that the ownership group for the Mavericks wants to have gambling legal in Texas. And in turn, they want to use the threat of moving the Mavericks to Vegas to influence the state legislature to pass legalized gambling in the state of Texas. And the only way that by 2026 they could logically threaten to move to Vegas is if they get the NBA to approve it. If they're a thriving franchise with a young superstar in Dallas, the NBA would never approve the Dallas Mavericks moving to Vegas. But if by then this core group has come and gone, and Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving hasn't worked out, they can sell off the team, hit rock bottom, and potentially threaten to move to Vegas. And this is a perfect time for Amin
I was
to
going to
arrive.
say, so I want to laugh at this and pick it apart. And luckily, Amin El Hassan has just arrived, the guy who just interviewed, I believe, the originator of the Facebook post in question.
That's right. That's right.
Do you buy it? Do you buy the theory?
Well, first of all, the guy's very clear. He's a lawyer. He's just a Mavs fan who's a lawyer. And he makes it very clear, like, there's no sourcing on this. He's just connecting dots. It is true that the Adelson family purchased the Mavericks with the intent of getting gambling legalized in Texas and having this vast territory, the largest population of non-gambling people because it's not available to them in the United States. But, upwards of 20 million people in the state of Texas. That's true. They didn't want it to get legalized. That's true. When they build the new building, the new arena, they want a casino attached.
They're casino magnates, the Adelsons, right? Macau, the Sands.
They're mostly in Asia now.
In Asia.
Yes.
I mean, so there's so many things that
there's just-
I don't know what
so
Jeremy,
ridiculous.
I don't know what Jeremy said. I'll just tell you.
It's not his theory.
Jeremy
He's-
just summarized.
he summarized the Facebook.
Okay,
post.
so because
At least I think I did.
Can we get a slow motion replay of what just happened?
I don't want to ever. I don't want to ever relive that. Remember. Okay, here's another connection. Remember when Josh Harris, owner of the Commanders, also owner of the Sixers, went on Monday Night Football and was there with Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, and he thought that something happening was a high five invitation, and then he grabbed the hand of, I believe, Joe Buck.
Yep.
That's just what happened with me and Samson.
That was terrible.
I was not trying to high five you.
I thought you were.
Proceed, I mean.
Chris Cradaville is the guy's name, is this lawyer's name. So, as I said, that's correct. They do want to legalize gambling in Texas. They do want the new arena that they're going to build to have a casino attached. They already have the land. The land is in Irving, Texas, near the site of the old Cowboy Stadium. So that stuff is all true. The part where it's like, and this deal was to is the stick because the carrot didn't work in legislature. I don't know. He says it's his theory too. Like, he's not saying, oh, I know, I got the inside scoop. And I think that's very important to point out as people like to take things and run with it.
Yes.
Legalizing gambling in Texas is not in any way correlated to Luka being on the Mavericks or not. It's just that is when they are deciding where to legalize gambling, when you're lobbying, whether you're DraftKings or anyone else lobbying for legal gambling, you are not focused on who is actually on the team in the state or city where you are going.
But even bigger picture, right, when it comes to what the NBA's financial interests here, it is interesting to consider that, right? If you're Adam Silver, the question has arrived, should he veto this deal? Should he have vetoed this deal? And just purely cynically, purely following the money, this is a good deal for Adam Silver to have happen in his league, is it not? From a pure, like, Luka, go to the Lakers. Lakers have a whole decade of runway of your next all-time player. Dallas, you'll figure it out. Like, that feels like a cost benefit that Adam Silver, in his heart of hearts, would approve of.
Can I be unfun today? I hate this talk.
Someone's got to do
We
it.
started the show by saying we have to be more fun than people in New Orleans, and Amin is immediately saying.
Well, I mean, like, but
fun.
we're taking it down. This is what it gives me headaches, right? It starts with the question.
I'm picturing Dan watching, like, finally someone's bringing it down.
What are you doing over there with your hands?
That's what Dan's doing. I'm not doing
Rubbing his nipples.
Oh. So, yeah, this idea that Silver should veto it like Stern did, the Chris Paul. That's not how this works. Chris Paul deal was vetoed by David Stern, not as commissioner of the NBA because it's unfair. It was vetoed because he was the de facto governor of the New Orleans franchise at the time because the guy who owned it ran out of money. And he was like, I can't run a team anymore. Who wants it? It's like the bank foreclosing on the team. And so Stern was like, I'm the governor. And they bring him this deal. And the deal, by the way, was to get like Pau Gasol and a couple of other middling players. And Stern looked at it and said, we're better off being terrible and trying our luck in the lottery. And so he vetoes the deal as the de facto governor. The deal doesn't go through. They do a different deal that brings them the type of players that will bring their value down, their competitive value down on the floor. They're terrible. Guess what they got? That following lottery. The number 1 overall pick, who was Anthony Davis. Totally the right move for the Pelicans franchise. But everyone's like, well, he did it because they were going to help the Lakers.
So wait, hold on.
People do that?
They do that all the time.
That?
They do that.
I never
with
do
that voice.
That's weird.
You never say that. You never say that the league vetoed the deal because it would have been bad.
Well, the league used to run the Expos, and there were a bunch of deals done by Omer Minai as the GM of the Expos.
Remind us why Major League Baseball was running the Expos.
Because we sold the Expos to Major League Baseball so they could run the Expos and move them to Washington and become the Washington Nationals. And so we could get the Marlins, and so John Henry could sell the Marlins and move to Boston because the trust that owned the Red Sox wanted to cash out, and baseball wanted to make sure that John Henry got them.
It's a three-way deal, basically.
It was a three.
You guys acquired the
Incredible.
Marlins, he acquires the Red Sox, and then Washington acquires the Expos.
It was a three-way deal. And there were a lot of trades that were done. If you go back and look at Expos transactions after 2002, and there was a lot of talk that they should be vetoed by Selig, and he would not veto them. And so the Expos made a bunch of bad trades.
What is the verdict that you have of how Major League Baseball was at running the Expos?
Great. They put in a guy named Tony Tavares to be the president. They had a GM named Omar Minaya, who some of you may know
Mets.
from his days with the Mets. And they ran it knowing that they were trying to cut expenses, didn't care about revenue, didn't care about attendance, didn't really...
Well, now it's sounding worse.
No, but that wasn't their job.
Well, so this is why I bring it up, though. It's because Amin is. I love Amin's retrospective, his revisiting of how good a GM was David Stern actually.
Not a GM. How
He
good of an
wasn't the
owner? He's a
GM.
governor.
But I'm saying this because ownership and decision making, when it comes to when the league is taking over teams, kind of hard to disentangle because the incentives for the decisions you make are different now, right? It's different.
Sure, but the decision he made was the best decision for the franchise. That wasn't because the best decision for the league would have been send Chris Paul to Kobe Bryant, send him to LA, get him out of the 30th largest market in the league, send him to the number 2 market, send him to the marquee. All of the financial incentives were there for them to do that. And he didn't because that wasn't what was best for the organization.
Listen, the only thing David Stern would do was sticky envelopes. I mean, that's really the extent of his involvement.
It's frozen is what they accused him of.
Nobody sticky envelopes. Pat Ewing.
It was
Frozen.
It's frozen.
Frozen.
Come on,
Why
we
are
all
you
know
making
that.
it sticky?
David, as always, we are 100% right when we disagree with you specifically.
I thought it was a sticky envelope.
frozen envelope.
What is a frozen envelope?
They
It was
put it in the
cold.
freezer. It was cold, so when he reaches in to pick the envelope,
can just
the
feel
cold
the
one is the one he
temperature.
pills.
And is that now? Did you find out that that's officially what happened?
That has been, for a long time, the dominant theory.
But never confirmed.
But what sticky substance do you have on the envelope?
I thought that it was stuck to the, and when my video surveillance showed that when they twisted the ball with the envelopes, that the Knicks one stayed at the bottom and didn't twist like the others.
No, it was a frozen envelope. That was the theory. By the way,
Allegedly.
the May 11th, 2022 episode of Basketball Illuminati, we tackled this. Episode 13, we had Patrick Hruby, who did a very exhaustive,
Yes, for ESPN.
Yeah, deep dive into all of the conspiracy theories surrounding that draft. So
But to that point, right, as somebody who is also the voice on Basketball Illuminati at the beginning,
yes,
quoting a story that I'd written about why the NBA is the league most riven with conspiracy, it's because of stuff like this. It's because there is just enough plausibility for these things to take root. But I want to disentangle, like, what is conspiracy and what is actually just business, David?
Having Ewing on the Knicks is just business. They need, and it's funny, you have a league now where the Knicks have not been able to perform in a couple decades. The NFL is a league where the Cowboys, people laugh. I did this on Nothing Personal today. If the NFL were scripted, the Cowboys would be in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl way more than they are. And the Giants and Jets would not be as bad as they've been for a long time. You wouldn't script it without the Cowboys. It's all horse hockey. to
Look,
me.
but I'm not trying to relitigate the frozen envelope. What I'm trying to get back to, though, is this Luka thing,
Yeah.
which Anthony Davis, by the way, via
Brought
a
up-
mean story, has brought us back to.
full circle, right? So we get to how could this deal happen? Why didn't Adam Silver do anything? Number one, if there were going to be a commissioner who would play God, it's not Adam Silver. David Stern, maybe.
I agree.
Adam Silver is like, well, it seems like they really like the deal, and then that's it.
So mean.
I'm
just
kind
saying.
of
You're
wish
doing his voice that way.
Well,
I
that's not
kind
what
of
he
wish
sounds
he
like, but
would
that's so
play God
mean.
Just
more.
a means thing.
But David, it's more about his energy. He doesn't sound like that at all. But the energy is very like meek, whatever you guys like. And David Stern would walk in the room and tell you, every one of you go F yourselves. I'm in charge.
Meek
because
Sylv.
David
because
Stern was an A-Rod.
David
Adam Silver is way better liked,
Let
but
me-
just as powerful.
Let me. No, he's
Well
not.
liked.
He's not A-Rod. He's not A-Rod.
I meant to say asshole, but I didn't want to say it.
Oh, he said jackhole. You could say jackhole.
Oh,
That's a good one. Yeah.
Could have said
So
a million other things.
Could have just said asshole, because then you
he
just
did.
said asshole.
He actually did. Yeah.
And
Also-
it's well liked, not better liked.
Thank you.
That's my EP. That's my EP.
Guys, we're crushing this today.
We're having
It's
so
been
much fun.
It's been informative. Chris Cody having the show of his life
Let's
so
watch
far,
a movie.
asking good questions.
Nibbles have been rubbed, and it's like 9:30.
Nipples.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Nibbles.
Nibbles?
That's
All
a
right,
fine.
put that replay up of the awkward back and
I
forth
don't
right
think
there.
we need to do
There's no
that.
audio. It's just you guys. Like, what is here? David's going for a high five.
Oh, Lord.
Let's not show that again.
Oh,
I didn't know what to do.
To the
I
listening audience, Pablo was just making the point of like David said, and he
Yes.
holds his hand out.
Pablo's like, David's like, ooh, high five.
David looked at it as like an opportunity to make connection.
I thought there was a connection. I thought we were having a moment.
Can you pull the video from the last time David and I were here where he tried to dap up Dominique? That's in the archive somewhere.
wow.
That's on the.
We'll get that.
That's
Okay.
actually my intro to Nothing Personal. It's every day we show it, and the audience loves that. When I jump into his arms,
Is
that's
there-
part of our 30-second intro.
Is there
Yeah,
like
well,
a
I knew that.
playlist of awkward interactions with David Samson?
They're efforting it, I'm told.
There should
in my
be now.
ear.
It'll never be
1, 2, 3,
Dan
Brett.
with
Josh Norman.
Josh Norman.
That's
Oh my
that's
God.
gonna always the gold standard.
Ugh.
Have you ever seen that?
I have not.
Josh-
You have not seen this?
No,
it's
is
this,
it awesome?
It's security camera footage of
Yeah.
the Clevelander bar. And Josh Norman walks in, and there is Dan. And somehow, Dan is basically like grinding on the back of Josh Norman. It's an incredible.
What starts as like just kind of a normal embrace, Dan like pulls him and like they like take like 3 steps back. It was so awkward.
and what?
Pulls him from behind?
Yes.
Wait, hold on a second. You're telling me Dan was awkward? I have to see this.
Pablo picked up on this the best. The best part of the video isn't what happens. It's that it's not like shot. There it is. It's shot with grainy security camera. It's like TMZ video.
The Clevelander.
All right, they embrace.
Oh,
and Dan,
wait.
he pulls them.
Oh. Wait, that didn't seem awkward.
See how?
David.
What are you talking about?
Play the game, David.
By the way, and look at the guy in the black shirt over there. His awkward and like kind of he scratches his head like, oh my god. Yeah, look at him.
It's
Look
just
at
like,
him.
he pulls him in. Look at
him. He looks at that.
He's
He's like,
it's the
oh,
slow dance.
crap.
It's the slow dance. Admittedly, in my mind, it was even worse. Over time, I have reimagined this.
It's the step and a half back he takes with him. Like, come on.
Arm around his neck and then pulling him.
It's the slight pull.
Wow, that was. Jessica, are you as disappointed as I am in that video?
It's pretty awkward, and if you know Dan, you just know why it's awkward.
No, but he's called it the most awkward thing ever.
Yeah, what you just did with Pablo was more awkward.
I agree.
With that.
All right, here we go. Here's David and Dominique.
Oh yeah.
Let's see if this is worse.
The
dance. What is that dance?
Forgot about the Euro step.
Oh my God. Okay, you know what? This takes the cake.
I would put this under cringe, not awkward, though.
Oh my God.
Just like,
What is
He's
this
Euro
dance?
stepping to the basket.
I don't remember what we were doing or why we were doing
We
it.
had to
It
do
was a
DAP
Euro
class.
step.
We did DAP class, and I don't think you passed.
Amazing when everything is on camera
This little shuffle right here.
and recorded.
That might be the worst part. The shuffle up to it might be worse.
The actual dap, not terrible.
Not bad.
It's everything before and after.
It's everything.
This is terrible. And then watch the dap. The dap itself, not terrible.
it's
But
kinda nice.
then you go into his, like, I don't know why you put your legs up.
Yeah.
He works in sports. That's why
That's
he
a
knows how to
short
tap.
thing.
Is it a short thing?
Yeah.
Needed uppies.
Interesting.
We need to call Dominique.
starting to see the light. Regardless of who's in it, it's a spectacle.
I think I'm starting to come around. Like, for instance, everybody wagering on a team. Chris Collinsworth sliding into your screen.
I wish everybody could hear the motivational speech Dominique just gave Chris Cody.
It wasn't really motivational. It was, you're awesome, dude. He was just praising me.
Why'd you turn into...
I shouldn't be talking. I haven't been introduced yet. My bad. I'll be quiet. I'll play the background.
I am summoning Dominique Foxworth, not just because we just replayed the video from last summer of David Samson koala bearing him mid-dap, but also because Chris Cody clearly was waiting for that external validation. You guys talked about sack grabbing in a way that felt honestly inspirational.
I feel like we need a new idiom for that, like a more modern one. Sometimes with my friends, this is a secret that I'm going to tell you guys. Some of my friends, I ask for permission to take us back to the 90s, like in a group chat. Before I say something, I'm like, permission to go back to the 90s. They grant the permission. I text my group chat something that I would not say publicly, but I don't know the words for it right now. And then we return to 2024 or 2025 now. But I just realized with Chris, when I talk to him, I've been noticing, like I listen to the show, I've been noticing that Chris feels like he's become a little bit more forceful. And
he's
like
rolling
confident.
his shoulders right now, listening to you compliment him.
Yeah, and so like I came on and I was like, Chris, proud of you, man. It seemed like you grabbed your sack lately, which I realized like that's a bad thing to say because I see Jess in the back row and like I feel the same way about Jess, but I can't tell her. And then it's just like
Women can't be brave. They have no balls.
I know, like that's it's outdated. Like there has to be some better idiom for like asserting yourself.
Intestinal fortitude, sir, is what you're looking for.
How about great job? You're improving.
No, see that's generic. This is
That's not what he means. That's not specific.
Yeah, like I appreciate that you have a lot of managerial experience, but I do feel like some of the interpersonal things about management, you just missed the mark because it's like saying you're doing a great job. Like it does not feel genuine. It's like saying somebody, you look nice, as opposed to, man, I really appreciate the way you've grown in your beard. Like the salt and pepper looks really
We show it through salary, Dominique. We show it through salary, through title.
Yeah.
You
don't
should
need
know.
to show it through sack grabbing.
Go on.
You should know, Dominique. You should know that David tried to high five me when I wasn't trying to high five him.
Let's put that up for
So-
Dominique to see if we
Yeah,
can.
just so Dominique can be brought in, caught up on the show as we do substitute teacher week here. It was look. It's just, I'm not trying to high five you. I'm just gesturing in your direction. The other reason I wanted to bring Dominique in beyond establishing the rules of consensual 90s mode, which I like.
We like to call it the 20 CB on Cinephobe.
The 20 CB.
The 20 CB. Whenever you go back into the 90s or the 80s or earlier than that, you're going back to the 20 CB as opposed to when we're in the 21st century, ma'am.
But you announce it to your group text when you're doing that, the way Dominique does?
We often will ask, and sometimes it won't be something that's offensive. Sometimes it'll be a saying, and we'll say, or something that happens. Is this 20 CB? And then we get a confirmation from the group text. Yes, this is in fact a 20 CB occurrence.
Dominique, does anyone say no when you ask them to go back?
Of course not. Like it's
So
a
then
joke.
why ask?
Because it's a joke. Man, you would like...
All right.
I feel like I start back
We're
over with you.
friends.
Every time I see you, I start back over with teaching you how to be a goddamn human being. It's like we got to start at square one. I would like you to carry over some of the things that I've taught you in the past. Like last time, we made so much damn progress.
We really did.
People loved you. I loved you. It was like, this is good. And then we get back on here and you're telling me, I just throw money at people. That shows them that I like them. That doesn't work. And then you're like, do they decline? No. The point is, it's funny. It's like, hey, can I go back to, like, when someone says something that's like a little bit sensitive, like, can I go back to the 90s? Then you call them a slur that you would have used in the 90s that wouldn't have been considered a slur back then. And then you come back, like, and then we all laugh together. It's why do I have to explain this to you?
So, Dominique, I got some things here that are not quite as offensive that are decidedly 20 CB.
Do we need some fanfare?
Sure, these aren't top 5. These are just 5 examples, but give me some fanfare. Number 5, eat your heart out. Nobody says that anymore. That
true.
is a relic of the 20th century.
Our hearts remain uneaten.
Eat your heart out. No one says that anymore. Framing the first dollar a small business makes.
I would still do that if I started a business.
I thought that was like an immigrant thing.
It's a dry cleaner thing. Always a dry cleaner,
Right.
right?
They just put it up where you can see it. Restaurants do it too.
Do they?
It's in the kitchen.
Describing someone as tall, dark, and handsome.
These are all SpongeBob bits, by the way.
Yeah, the last two.
It took me a long time to realize that they weren't talking about black people when they said tall, dark, and handsome. I was like, yeah. And then I was like, oh, wait, that guy's
what?
not dark. He's just
Wait, they
got...
aren't?
No. They were
Jinx, Dominique.
letting people know that Napoleon always had his hand in his pocket. When I was a
The
kid,
kids today appreciate that he had it tucked right there.
cartoons, movies, TV shows, always, if you mention Napoleon, the first thing you mention was his hand was in his pocket like that. Don't even see. My kids have no idea what that is, right? Like, they know who Napoleon is. They have no idea
We
about
used
the
to be a
hand.
proper empire.
And then finally,
We are again now, it seems.
we are whoa, dicey.
Ew.
And then finally, hot water bottles.
Why are those 90s?
You don't see them.
We have heating pads now.
Heating pads,
Love
those
my
clay
heating
things
pad.
they put in the microwave, you heat up, the electric ones. No one uses a hot water bottle anymore. Again, now, if you grew up like we did, Looney Tunes, anytime someone was sick, there was a hot water bottle somewhere, right? But these kids don't watch Looney Tunes, so they don't know what hot water bottles are.
Looney Tunes is how I learned most cultural references.
Absolutely.
I had no idea hot water balls were a thing. Just
You
no
know,
clue.
another thing that's very 90s, sometimes people's shorts are a little 90s.
Yep.
And then they update those shorts and they get these new age. Look at those shorts. Look at that material. That is future material. Chris Cody
Fiore.
is no longer rocking 90s ass shorts. It's like a decades old callback, David Samson. Sorry, that wasn't for you, but
No, that's one of the great brands. We got to see if they can send us some clothes for a sponsorship. I'd like to
Love
get
them.
on that.
Wait, so Chris Cody wears the same shorts as David Samson?
They are the most comfortable clothes possible. Am I the only one who's...
No, I don't wear their men's shorts, but I have several pairs of leggings.
Do they come with
Fully done.
pickpocket protection?
Yep, zippers.
They're zippers, but it's not great because the zippers actually in the flying pants that I have, the zipper is more of a vertical zipper, and it's a little tight to get as much in the pockets. I'm a big pocket guy.
Let me ask this question.
Flying pants?
Aren't the Viore
Thought the same
shorts the ones that were in the Dolphins
I
training
have
camp video?
multiple colors. Yeah, I had the black Viore shorts for the Tua interview.
Are we still proud of this brand now after someone...
It's not the shorts. That was just on me. Way too much thigh in that picture.
Okay.
Disagree.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Dominique, are you excited to go to New Orleans? Because you're not there, and there's a lot going on there. All of Meadowlark is there. They're having the time of their lives. And when we asked you to be on the show, we thought you were already part of what's going on, and you haven't even left yet.
no. Well, it's interesting you say all of Meadowlark is there when I'm looking at like a whole bunch of Meadowlark in the studio
Thank
right
you.
there.
The leftovers.
Looking at some tall, dark, and handsome.
The
What Dominique's
holdovers.
looking at.
Nah, there's only one. The rest of you guys, not quite dark enough.
Thank you.
Give me a couple more days.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's fun. It's cool. It'll be a good time. New Orleans is good food. I mean, the best thing about the Super Bowl is normally the random occurrences that you can't plan for. And so my co-host of my show, Charlie Kravitz, has been like sending me all these reservations and plans and talking about what parties we're gonna go to. And that's just not how you do Super Bowl. That's not how you do Super Bowl. You show up. You talk your way into parties. You bounce around. You bump into old friends and have random celebrity like meetups, and then you talk about it later on the flight back. Like Vegas
Have you
was the
been asked
best
to go on
experience.
God Bless Football yet with Stugotz?
No.
Well, we got to change that. I mean,
No.
apparently God Bless Football, the #1 football podcast in America, award-winning, as you know, Dominique.
Guys, get that off the screen.
And-
Oh, hold on. We're back on Chris's shorts.
God, that whole look, Chris.
Just this angle. Get this.
It's a really unfair angle.
Lewis is about to get fired.
The drawstring is my favorite part. He just the whole time.
All right, you're not. That's it. No more zooming. Cut away.
And
I think you look great.
Pan down a little bit more.
Thank you, guys.
Enhance.
That's my
Enhance.
worst nightmare.
Dominic, you like the politicking outside of the Super Bowl party? You enjoy that part?
No, I enjoy it now. I didn't used to enjoy it. So like talking your way into a party was a thing that would make me anxious in the past. But now, like, I mean,
what's your greatest talk your way into the party before you had the notoriety of being on massive television platforms? What was your magnum opus of talking your way into something?
I mean, it's lying mostly. It's like
no, you don't have a specific, because I have a specific example.
Oh, get to it. Get to it.
Do you have a specific lie?
Oh, it wasn't like an example of a party that I got into that I shouldn't have got into.
Proceed.
Walked up, and this is at the point where I'm at my pinnacle. Sports Nation is happening. The jump is happening. I'm like, I'm out here, right? And so we go up to the.
I mean, you're still out here, just for the record.
Well, I'm not. No, now I'm mature. I'm wiser. I'm like, Dominique, I just
showed up
an
an hour late for the show today.
I mean, because I stepped off a plane.
Doesn't matter. That's a flex.
So
should have talked your way into an earlier plane.
I wish. So I walk in and I walk up to security and as I'm looking, I said, I know what the deal is, because most of these bouncers, they're all Laker fans, and so I just got to find the one Laker fan who looks at me and asks me why am I hating on the Lakers. So I see my guy, and I'm like, yeah, and he says, why are you always hating on the Lakers? I'm like, oh, come on, man, da 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 da. This is when the Lakers are terrible. So as I'm talking, his manager comes up. His manager is your typical Vegas manager, right? Nightclub manager. Short Italian guy, lots of product in his hair, vest,
Hold
works
on.
out.
I think we have to enter consensual 90s mode before we do that.
Funny CV? And he's got the earpiece, right? The earpiece. And he comes up there, sorry, boss, I can't let you in. I'm sorry. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. And that's all I got to do. I'm like, come on, man. And he's like, I'm sorry, even if I let you in here, see that guy over there? And there's a bald dude at a podium. He said, that guy's my manager. He's not going to let you in. So I'm like, there's nothing we can do. And the guy I'd been talking to, and this is my rule, bouncers, bartenders, you get 15 minutes a show. I'll ask any question. I'll give him show. So I gave that guy 15 minutes a show. He pulls his manager aside and he just points back at me. And the guy unclips the velvet rope, walk in. My buddy's like, what's going on? I just listen. We walk up to the guy at the podium, the manager who would have said no, and he looks up and he says, why are you always hating on the Lakers? I was like, come on, man. I gave him like 5-10 minutes of show. We're in the party. My buddy was like, that was amazing. How did you do that? I'm like, hey,
why don't you try a C note next time?
Oh, no, I'm not going to. That's the rule, David. I don't pay. I
money.
refuse.
It's just money with this guy. Don't you
I just don't want to do 15 minutes of show.
Oh, I don't mind doing 15 minutes of show.
It's about the challenge.
For a bouncer or a bartender, I'll give him 15 minutes of show, no problem. It's the other normies that I have a problem with. That's right. You see me in the streets, you say hello, you get a picture, keep it moving.
You won't even give someone 1 minute of show unless they can do something for you?
I'll give them a question.
We know Amin's policy. Amin will do pro bono Sports Nation for any bouncer or security guard. But if you're an Uber driver who asks Amin, what do you do? Amin is lying his ass off immediately.
I work for Marriott. Guest experiences. I travel from property to property to make sure that we have consistency across all the brands.
Do you flash your chipped tooth when you do that?
I haven't had to do it since I chipped my tooth.
All right, David.
I'm just asking. It's important.
Can we talk to Dominique? I miss Dominique.
Can I bring Dominique back in? Because Amin said something else, Dominique, that made me glad that you were here and available before you get on your flight to New Orleans, which is that Amin was just in Arizona, and he had witnessed a special sporting milestone.
My child had a flagrant foul, the very first flagrant foul.
Ooh, nice.
Hopefully a long career. And it happened with 5 seconds left in the game, and the other team was just dribbling the ball out.
Oh, gosh. And so you were very proud, I assume.
No, I had to, because, first of all, it was a road game. So I got to demonstrate to the crowd that I don't condone this behavior. And I just said, why? I just kept saying, why? Why? Like Nancy Kerrigan, why? Why?
The guy who used to co-host Sports Nation is despondent right now. What's happening?
Did you start doing show?
I started doing show for all the people around me, yeah. But Dominique, do you remember your first unsportsmanlike conduct?
I remember celebrating when my oldest daughter first started getting fouls in basketball, but especially and I don't think we need to go back to the 90s for this, but like being a parent of two girls and a boy, like watching the way girls sports are played and the way that they're refed and coached, kind of frustrated me because they're encouraged the boys in such different ways. So I remember like when my oldest daughter was 8 years old and she busted another girl's lip because she was trying to get a rebound. I remember celebrating her and then taking her home to watch Charles Oakley videos because it was like the difference in that age of sports for boys and girls. A lot of times the difference is like just want to like fight and try hard. And it was like, yeah. And they respond to the way everyone else acts. And when there's a foul in the boys' games, it's a lot different when there was a foul in the girls' games. And I just was trying to encourage them to be a little bit more aggressive and feisty. So I did not yell why. I stood up and started clapping like, she all right? All right. She all right? Good. Let's keep playing. You get a little lip bust. And it was probably good for her too. Like my daughter's got elbowed in the eye last week. You know what she did? She got up and she kept balling. And I was very proud of that.
Look, we're down like by a bajillion points. There was 5 seconds ago. It had all the wrong
What do you
optics.
mean? Be a better defense attorney for your kid.
No.
Dear God.
No, man, I can't.
Dominique just gave you a thoughtful way to spin this, and you're like,
I'm doubling down because Dominique, if it was in the middle of a game doing a basketball activity, I would be like, yeah, no problem. This was literally the kid is dribbling the ball out, and my child just stares and says, F this. Just trucks.
From behind or like head on?
Head on. And the kid was feet above the head on the ground.
Wow. Tom and Jerry
I
style?
respect that.
Crowd went,
I would have done when I played soccer. Sometimes you just gotta like get a little foul out, just like
and then looked at me and shrugged, like what? What'd I do? I said, why? What'd I do? I'm like, what are you doing?
You said it was a road game.
It was a road game.
And all the home crowd knew that you were the parent of this player?
Yeah, because I'd been talking the whole time.
Oh, you're that parent?
I talked to my kid the entire time. I'm terrible.
All right, we got to establish some etiquette, Dominique. What's your sports parent? What are your sports parent commandments when it comes to talking?
Well, I mean, I have unique experience, so like I never say I coach my son's flag football team, so that's very different. But like through my whole sports parenting career, I just am very quiet and I don't react to anything other than just like clap. I don't like cheer for individuals on the team. Like it's just my sports parent rules. I don't begrudge anyone who does that, but generally, like,
you ever like turn away? Do you give like the aggressive like fist pump, but like you want to be subtle with it? So you're like,
it's normally just a clap. Like, okay. No matter how intense the game is, and my wife is a little bit different, even though she's not an athlete and she's not very much into sports, but she is very much into the kids' sports, and so we've had a couple near altercations where I had to stand up and be like, look. This is not what we're going to do to like some opposing parents. Like, this is not what we're going to do. This is 12-year-old girls soccer. Relax. And then normally people respond accordingly. But yeah, I don't know. That's the worst possible thing is I don't want to be in a situation. And maybe this is just me being like self-conscious is like, I assume that people are looking at me. I don't want people to leave and be like, man, Dominique was real tough on his kid, or that Foxworth guy was trying to fight the whole opposing fans and yelling at the refs. It's like when you go from watching Patrick Mahomes play, it feels kind of insane for this like guy on his second job reffing a game for me to start yelling at him. Like, get it together. Guy's doing the best he can.
I pray for footage of you guys flipping out at a game. I just want someone to send me a TikTok of you guys.
It won't happen because mine isn't the kind
your jacket off.
It's not the kind that he's describing. I don't talk to the refs. I don't talk to the coaches. I don't talk to other parents. I don't talk to any other kids. I'm just telling my kid, cut now. No,
are you ever undermining like a play that's been drawn up?
No. No, because I know the plays.
Okay.
You know the plays.
I know it. I know what you're doing though. You're taking shots by talking to your kid. You're taking shots at the opposing team. Like, come on. You can beat him off the dribble.
Oh, I thought Dominique was saying Amin is taking shots literally vicariously, as in like shoot.
Like Coach, you got to isolate number 9 on defense. We need to isolate number 9. They can't guard anyone.
I don't do that. I don't tell my kid when to shoot. I do say cut and things like that. I do know the plays because when my kid comes home and says, "Hey, we got a new play," I said, we have a whiteboard. I said, "Draw it up for me." And then you've got to tell me from every position. If you're playing the 2, all right. Now if you're playing the 5, where are you? What are you doing? So it's just things that we do. We watch film together.
Film of what?
All the games. It's high school, so all the games are on film. So like after the game, we come home and we watch film.
Oh, it's high school. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was younger for some reason.
I was
I did
picturing
too.
10 to 12.
No, yeah.
You.
My kid's a freshman in high school playing varsity.
So there's a big crowd. Wait,
Oh, this changes everything.
Did you guys all catch that?
We were
Did
not.
we all catch that? Earl Woods over here
freshman
is
playing
revealing
varsity.
what's really happening.
I stand corrected.
Amin is engineering the next great athlete.
Not really. We're more about grades in my house, but my thing is,
That's what you got to say. That's what you got to say. I mean, well done. Well done.
A good immigrant parent.
Yeah, if you're gonna do this, we're gonna do this right too. as well.
Framing dollar bills and talking about grades.
Dominique,
Sorry. I'm sorry. Who's gonna win the Super Bowl?
We all are, man. It's going to be a fun game that
That's
we'll
right.
enjoy. It'll
That's
be
right.
a tremendous experience. Watch some commercials and all that stuff. I think Kendrick's going to win the Super Bowl. Kendrick Lamar, Super Bowl champion.
I think SZA's gonna win the Super Bowl.
I don't know. My money's on Kendrick.
No, man, SZA's got a moment going.
Dominique, what hotel are you staying at?
What is happening right now?
Why would you ask that?
Because I thought you had this amazing thing to talk to him
It
about.
is. It's the Super Bowl.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl
Yeah.
is the best you have?
All
I'd
right,
like to know.
We really just want a most down. I don't want to do this. What's happening? We just had we were doing something.
We were
having-
dancing.
We're having too much fun. Dan's gonna fly
All
back
right.
now.
Speaking of flight,
He's
Dominique,
listening, by the way. We all
Dan,
know he's
I know.
listening.
Dan,
That's why Jeremy wore that color
Dan.
green, just for Dan.
Dan was
That's right.
worried. Dan said that he's happy to take vacation. The audible sound of laughter through the glass that you may be able to catch is Jess's reaction to that premise. I believe that Dan is worried. I believe that Dan should be on vacation. I believe that Dan
He's
has
not on
nothing
vacation. You know that, right? He's working.
I mean, he's not working the whole week. The whole point is to give him time, right? He's doing this show with Dan Patrick, which everybody in New Orleans, if you're listening, go watch. It's at Tipitina's, which is an awesome venue. You know, go do that. But after that, like, Dan should have a weekend to himself. He should be,
Painting the town red.
That's right. Another thing people don't say anymore.
Is that a 90s reference?
I don't know. It felt
20
right.
CV.
Dominique, you can be our scout on the ground and let us know how much fun is being had.
Yeah, please.
By Dan?
Yes, that's correct.
No, I think you guys misunderstand what Dan thinks is fun. Dan, like what you guys think is fun, not what Dan thinks is fun. Complaining? Oh, whew, he's in his element. Dan is just gonna be out there searching for some shit to go wrong so that he can then complain about it when he gets back. And he'll be so happy that he had some shit go wrong.
The only thing I want to see from the Super Bowl content-wise is Charlie doing his Dan impression to Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Can we make that happen and send that video to us exclusively, please, for YouTube and the DraftKings Network?
Charlie, my co-host, he flew to New Orleans yesterday, and he was on the flight with Jaden Daniels.
Oh.
What? Oh my God, how excited was he?
Oh, he said that it was Jaden and his mom. He said he walked up to Jaden and said, "You changed my life."
What?
And we know he's
This is
probably said this in the nerdiest way possible, right? Can you do a Charlie impression, Dominique?
I can't, actually.
If you can imagine,
I mean,
what the voice I imagine Charlie used is the voice that Charlie uses to impersonate Dan,
Yes,
which is
that's what I was
also
thinking too.
which is
Same thing I
also
was
the
thinking.
voice that Amin uses to impersonate Adam Silver.
Oh, a little meek voice like that.
That's exactly what Charlie's Dan impression sounds like. You changed my life, Jaden Daniels. Thank you.
I'm
My life.
I want to get back to the
Oh,
game.
that's good.
I want to get back to the game of what do you tell the person that you're the biggest possible fan of. Charlie went with "You Changed My Life." Think about that. We have a video though I want to play.
They're coming for
I would
everything.
think that if success was an indication that he might have earned, all because it feels like Robert Kraft just talking bad about him behind closed doors, like that's shocking to me that no one would be willing, because the owners don't like each other. Like, some of them like each other. I'm shocked that someone didn't just go hire him just to piss off Bob. Somebody hates Bob in there.
Yeah, but that's because they run this business like a monopsony.
Oh,
And then,
here we go.
Dominique,
Now, are you,
it's a cartel. It's a cartel,
Dominique.
Oh, I thought you were gonna mock. I thought you were gonna mock me.
That was you saying,
Monopsony.
Dan, it's a monopsony. These
It is.
owners, and then Dan goes, no, Dominique, it's a cartel, and Bob Kraft not getting anyone to hire Bill Belichick. That's some gangster.
Oh my god.
That is great.
Oh, the gangster shit part. Is
Sounds
where-
like Mickey Mouse in South Park.
The last time that he did it was one of last week's shows, and we've added a new element to it. It's now the hokey wordplay. That's our new element that we've added to it, is when he does like a double entendre type of situation.
Yes. I know
that's
this
the new-
move. It's the move you do as a writer, and you think you can do it just speaking, and it's a real heat check.
It's very much like a 50-year-old man trying to rap is what it comes off as.
Can you give me an example?
Sure.
The Michael Jordan, the souls of Michael Jordan. Do you know that one, Amin?
No, I don't.
Dominique, you got it.
I don't know if I can get my voice high enough.
Well, just say it, and I'll say it in the high-pitched voice.
Okay. When Dan was in China, he said he was walking at the Great Wall behind the souls of Michael Jordan at the place that took the soul out of Jordan. Something like that. That's actually a good example of it. I don't like that one because that's actually really kind of cool. The rest of them
Are we now realizing that Dan's kind of a good writer? Is that what's happening right now?
No. We know Dan's a great writer, but the other times he was talking shit to me in text, and I said agreed, and he was like agreed, and then put a space between it and wrote agreed, like greedy. I was like, yeah, like nah, bro.
Yeah.
Nah, bro. That ain't it, bro. That ain't it.
Plus, I thought Seoul was in South Korea.
Oh.
That's not.
Let's just sit here for a second.
Dan would have kicked Amin
just
out
sit
for
here for a
that, I would
second.
assume.
But Stugotz!
These gladiator games! Graffitiing the Church of Football, the cathedral!
Oh,
I love
man.
Dan. I hope Dan's listening
Yeah.
to this.
I hope he's not.
Have you guys seen a person that you were an enormous fan of and you wound up saying something like, you changed my life to them? Is there a thing? David, who is the person you would most be excited to encounter? And do you have a thing you'd want to say to them?
There was an actor named Alan Alda.
Oh, yeah.
Who's still alive.
MASH.
He was the Hawkeye in MASH. And there was an episode of MASH called The Joker. And when I spoke to Alan Alda about it, when I met him, I asked him about that episode, and he didn't remember it. And I recall being devastated. How can it be? And now that I've done 1,200 Nothing Personal shows, I absolutely understand that you don't remember things that you do. He remembered lines at the time. He recorded it, and it changed my life. And I said to him the next time I saw him, I don't know if you remember, but we talked about this episode that you did not remember filming, and I thought that you were crazy, and now I realize that you're normal. And the concept of people who pretend that they remember everything they've done, you can't do it.
And then he said, and you are?
No, he thank you.
Wait,
That's
so you
very
saw
nice
him a
of you.
second time and brought up something he didn't remember the first time?
Is there anything
So-
else you learned from the most popular television show of all time through podcasting?
He does. Wait, explain to me what you mean, because he is a podcaster in his 80s.
What I mean is
He
that
embraced
what I mean is
technology.
that you went to the star of the most watched television show of all time at one point and said, "I know what your life is like. I have a podcast."
No, you're absolutely wrong. I'm sorry, I didn't tell it right. I was 20 years old. I hadn't even started law school. I hadn't even finished college.
No, you talk about the second meeting where you say,
I was 23 years old.
Are you stalking Alan Alda? What is happening here?
I just happen to know him, and you can play it a bit, whatever. He's Alan Alda. It's not even worth
We're
it.
not gonna.
He's
we're not gonna play it.
he's got Parkinson's. He is in his 80s, and he does this really cool
I feel like we should
podcast
play it now because I feel bad.
You should feel bad. Alan Alda is my acting hero, and personally, he is an amazing person. He's an amazing person. He commuted back and forth from New York to L.A. to film MASH because he wouldn't move his family to L.A. for that 11 years.
What
I can't believe we're doing MASH talk and it's not on a Greg Cody Tuesday.
is happening?
That's so unexpected.
Everything David says and this episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by Venmo.
yeah.
I wish I was down there now. I mean, I wanted to be down there before, but I never wished I was down there more than I did the last 4 or 5 minutes or so. Like, I mean, now I get, like, I think you guys are all tremendous. I will have one piece of criticism for the man in the middle chair.
Yeah, I felt Dominique.
Pablo.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you, like, at the next break, I'm gonna need you to grab this show by the throat. The next segment, you need to have a real legitimate hardcore football or sports topic ready at some point. And you throw it in there, and then you spin off of the hardcore football topic into silliness, and then you bring it back to the hardcore sports topic. It just feels like we out here willy-nilly right now, and I don't like willy or nilly.
Another thing people don't really say anymore is willy-nilly, by the way. Let's keep a running list.
Willy-nilly's making a comeback. Making a comeback.
I think you're being willy-nilly about
Nilly-willy.
willy-nilly.
Who's going to win the game?
I see what you mean now, Dominique. I see what you mean now.
Best we got.
No, here's the bad news. Here's the bad news for the steering wheel in front of me. It has the word, there are vultures circling the Elser written on it. And that's what I was going to lead with the next time we came back from break.
Nope. Throw that out. I don't know what it is. If it's the Luka trade, the De'Aaron Fox trade, it's whatever you want. You got to find something, and that's what you start with. Okay? Next segment, Pablo.
They're not just vultures, they're turkey vultures.
And they're huge.
Can we get Ron? Can we get Ron McGill on to talk about the vultures?
I mean, first meatloaf, then burgers, now vultures. I mean, what is turkey not going to come after?
See? We're done with that. Let's not come back to that. You did it. You can't do that any better. He nailed it, all right? So we're done with that, all right? You did it. Don't bring up the vultures any damn more.
Are they healthy vultures?
I can't tell if Chris's feeding me lines are just saying them now into the microphone for everybody. It's hard to distinguish.
Turkey vultures, that was all me. You can't have that.
If it's just in your ear. Dominique, in New Orleans, there's been a lot of talk. I do want to get a quick thing in while we still have Dominique. There's so much talk. Roger Goodell coming out and talking about how things aren't scripted, how the Chiefs aren't favored. The head of the NFL Referee Association released
Scott Green.
Scott Green.
I've interviewed Scott Green before.
He released a huge statement on episode 190 of PTFO about how referees only cover 2 games per year for a team and that you'd have to have every referee involved in this sort of corruption and they're the best in the business, etc. As a player, and we talk to players a lot about this, did you feel ever that there was any sort of refereeing that in any way went either for you or against you?
No. I never felt like there was any bias, and it's something that I don't know. I'm sure Amin has probably had this conversation with youth athletes. Also, it's like, who cares? Like it's out of your control. So like I've never given it enough thought to think that anyone was cheating. Of course, there were bad calls in my favor and bad calls against us in every game that you play, but it's something that's completely out of your control. And I assume that. Maybe it's not just an athlete thing, but like I kind of feel that way generally about the world around me. It's like, I don't know, shit ain't gonna work out.
Counterpoint, let's storm the Capitol.
Right? Like, are you saying it's a 50-50 get back here, Dominique? Is that your point? It all evens out in the end? You just have to stick around?
No, it probably that's true, but it's honestly, it's like it's not in your control, and complaining about it isn't going to fix it. There are going to be issues, and maybe honestly, like the experience and the life experience that I was kind of alluding to is like, no, it never evens out, but who gives a shit? Like, it's just the way it's going to be.
David, when it comes to referees, this is what I said. This is one of the things why I think Adam Silver isn't as strong as he needs to be. We've had over the last couple of years several instances of players and coaches insinuate that like the fix was in. And I said, look, man, you can call the refs stupid. You can call them blind. You can even say, hey, that ref doesn't like me. There's a personal vendetta. What we cannot ever allow in our sport is to have people question the integrity of the sport, meaning these guys are on the take, doing money signs, talking about they wanted them to win or whatever. That's the stuff that should not fly. The league has been very soft on that. And I think the NFL is the same thing. You need to kill that immediately, not only with your players and coaches, but also with your broadcast partners, right? Yeah. If you're Fox, if you're CBS, NBC, or ESPN, you want our rights? You can't be talking that craziness. Amazon too. You can't talk about the refs wanted them to win. You can say he got a superstar call. That's very different from there's a script or there's some sort of nefarious kind of thing at play.
But that distinction of there are superstar calls, and the NBA, by the way, is pretty, I would say, unique. But it's unique among sports where it's like every call has room for interpretation. When in the game is it happening? Who is committing it? Who is the person who is on the other side of it, right? Where on the court is it happening? All of this stuff factors into what makes a good call in basketball. And in the end, I mean, look, I guess across all sports, though, the reason why I think it's such a hard conversation is because there is truth. The league likes to think of refereeing broadly as a dial to turn, right? We're overcorrecting for some things. We're trying to make up for other things. That happens. In the NBA, we saw it. I mean, scoring's way up.
Right.
What happened?
They interpreted the rules differently.
Mid-season, and the things changed. In the NFL, there are things that are called now, Dominique, that didn't used to be called that way because there was an actual change. The specific, though, favor trading of we are rewarding a superstar team as an entity, that's where I agree. We're leaving the realm of...
Oh, the NBA trade deadline, it never stops. Via Chris Haynes, Milwaukee Bucks are trading 3-time All-Star Chris Middleton to the Washington Wizards for Kyle Kuzma. How about that?
Stop the show for that.
Poor Chris Middleton.
You say Bucks, I think Giannis.
Well, no, Giannis gets some help now. He gets Kuz.
Moves before moves.
The move before the move.
Love the move before the move.
Oh, this is a pre-move.
Yeah, that's breaking news, all right. Thank you, Dominique.
I
got us back on track.
I deserved that.
Showtime, buddy! The Bengal speaks. And the ram responds. The Bengal tiger is an apex predator with no natural enemies other than man. It's equipped with incredible strength, combined with sharp claws and massive canine teeth, designed for overpowering and killing its prey that can weigh over 1,000 pounds. It is, in reality, a finely tuned killing machine. The ram, on the other hand, though extremely quick and powerful in its own right, is a vegetarian that does not have to hunt down and kill to survive. Their massive horns are powerful, and they do have the ability to severely injure an animal with a well-placed bow, giving them the opportunity to escape. But for one to be able to overtake a Bengal tiger in a fight to the death would require a small miracle.
Stafford with the ball, with 6 minutes left, down 4 points, with 79 yards to go.
would be an extremely lucky first blow, done in the form of a massive headbutt that would temporarily stun the Bengal and provide an opportunity for escape. That, however, is unlikely. And the most realistic result would be the Bengal striking its claws into the ram while burying its teeth into its neck and causing a fairly quick death by severing the spine.
T. Higgins is gone for 75 yards.
Then the Bengal would devour the ram. Unless that ram was Cooper.
You and only you can spark a battle cry. The Rams, victory was sealed on strength of your divine champions. Stafford hangs back, looks off the corner, over the middle, a no-look pass. The fans are up for Cooper. McVay keeps calling his number. The penalty flags rain towards ground. Everyone in the building knows where it's going. Stafford to Cup in the end zone. Oh, the joy and elation of the moment. The polarizing quarterback and the Big Sky Conference product answered the bell. One of the game's historic moments.
Nothing stops the NF. Nothing stops the NF.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Oh, yeah.
So lots of stuff is happening in the NBA as we tape right now. We'll keep interrupting what I think are thoughtful points with meaningless updates about Chris Middleton as we proceed here, I guess. Another bit of news, though. Maybe, David, you've already covered. Come on.
You said you have news. That's for you.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I thought there was another trade.
The NFL has a deal with Miami's own Pat Riley for the use of three-peat on merchandise if the Chiefs win. Which is, look, I think people probably know by now that Pat Riley invented the term, or at the very least, got the intellectual rights to the term. But I imagine this tickled you, David.
I don't think he should have gotten it. I think three-peat is used too often by too much that to give it all to one person. I think it was a mistake by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, but he has it.
Do you think there's a former assistant coach of Pat Riley at the time who's like, that's bullshit, man. I told him that.
And now they get
that.
nothing.
And I'm not on that.
Now, but Pat did say, thank God, he gives most of the money to charity. That's always my
Most.
favorite, most. And we can all define what that means. But the NFL had to do a deal with him because I want the NFL to not use it. Just say back to back to back.
Yeah.
Fred McGriff style.
Well, David, let me ask you a question. Yeah, that's a good call from the
Again,
commercial.
things kids knew in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that. I don't remember the line back to back to back, but
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Back-to-back national champions.
National champs, Little League, yeah. David, you are older than everyone here today, so I'm not old enough to remember, was three-peat a thing that was said before, like in the early 80s?
No, it was 88. It was after.
No, I know when he coined it because they thought they were going to go for three in a row and then they lost to the Pistons. But I'm just saying, did he actually invent the term, or was that already a term that was being used and then he was just first to...
He used it on stage.
Right.
So my recollection, and this is back maybe before many of you were born, I believe when they had won their back-to-back, he was on stage the way you do after a parade, and he then said, I'm sure we can find this out, he said, how about a three-peat? And remember when LeBron went to was it LeBron and the Heat? Let's do four, let's do five, not one.
You nailed it. That's exactly what it was.
And how many did he go to?
It was not five, not six,
He
not
went
seven.
to 4 in a row and then left.
He went to
It was not five, not six, not seven.
And he ended up being at 4 finals with 2 titles. I think it was a lot of premature exuberance by Riley at that time, but it's been paying off ever since.
I mean,
and we give into it. Companies give into it who are experiencing three-peats. If you're a regular company,
what regular company is experiencing a three-peat?
Meadowlark with The best football
Oh my
podcast.
God! Yeah, we're gonna have to pay Pat Riley if Stugotz wins again, right?
You can't say, hey, it's a three-peat.
Oof.
We already built him a statue.
Put it on top of the Elser.
Not good enough.
Can't you just spell Pete differently?
You know what? It's funny. I saw the patent. There's so many different iterations, like any spelling you can think of.
Trademark.
Chris.
Like, I'm going to get it. If I see
yeah.
Unless he
three-peat with
invented, like,
two
a machine.
E's, like, I'm going to be like, yep, got it.
P-E-E-T.
Yeah.
Rodney. Pete.
Yeah.
With an E at the end.
Sure, whatever, however you want to spell
However
it,
you
just
want to do
differently.
it. Repeat. I just think it's funny that Kansas City, no one's ever done it. That's what I'm excited about for the Super Bowl.
You're rooting for the Chiefs.
100%. I find it hard to believe that people don't want to see a three-peat because I've never seen that in my life in the Super Bowl.
But David, this is why leagues like dynasties, because it forces everyone to choose a side. Either I want to see history or I'm sick of them. I can't wait for them to lose. That's why the Yankees are great. That's why the Lakers and the Celtics are great. And that's why right now the Chiefs are great, right? The idea that something that makes everybody watching, even the casuals, feel a need to either say, oh, I want to see Taylor's boyfriend win another one, or say something like, oh, I hate that Taylor Swift. Like, it's so stupid, and yet it is the engagement that the league desires.
Do you like how Kelsey came out yesterday and said, we're not going to go through this again. I'm not retiring. I was one of the guys who thought Taylor would make him retire. Because I thought, she said, I really don't want to date someone whose head's getting bashed in. I'd like him to be able to put 3 sentences together to make a paragraph. So I thought he'd win it and then walk. But apparently, not only is he not doing that, he's already said, win or lose on Sunday, I'm back.
But David, you have them having deep intellectual conversations long into the night.
I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I don't yuck on other people's relationship yums.
It's not about their relationship yums. I don't know how much compelling conversation.
You think they're just grunting?
I mean,
Hell yeah.
At least 50%.
I have them having real conversation about life, about future, about...
I'm picturing them, like, embracing, just, like, cuddling in the bed, and she's, like, rubbing his head, like, is your head hurt? You have a headache? You don't need this.
You guys are funny. I think they're just as normal as we are.
I do that with my wife all the time. How's your head, honey? Come here.
You rub her head and say, how's your
When
head?
she has a headache?
You get the hot water bottle, and you lay it gently.
My wife does this thing when she gets a headache where she puts the sleeping mask on because she doesn't want to open her eyes. And I take, like, a nice wet cloth and I just drip it on her forehead.
Yeah. Does she have the fun CTE?
I don't know.
That seems like an oxymoron.
Well, that was Andrew Hawkins let us know this.
There's a fun
one.
CTE?
There's a fun CTE, yeah.
He gave approval on Dan's.
Oh, Dan was the one that came up with fun CTE.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
I don't love that.
Well,
What do you love?
I love a lot. I love a lot of
what happened
things and a
there?
lot of people. I don't love fun and CTE in the same sentence.
He malfunctioned trying to say the word love.
I love. I had my wires crossed.
Do we want to play the game? Is that a perfect segue for the host to step in and remind everybody we have a game that Chris Cody, executive producer, has prepared?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play.
Is he human?
With David Samson.
Silly me, I thought this was the funeral game.
We played it yesterday with Diane, and it was a disaster.
Well, what they're going to figure out is for everyone else, the question we're looking for is the one that they'll say no to. For you, it's the one that they'll say yes to. Because
not a lot.
It seemed like you say no to almost
The
every
funeral
single one.
game is my favorite game to listen to and my least favorite game to play. But that is David Samson, the star of the hit game show.
Is he human?
Chris, how does the game work?
All right, David. We have questions for you, life scenarios, and you're going to tell and you're going to answer it, and then we will decide as judges if you're a human or not.
Bring it.
First one. You're at lunch with a friend. Your dish arrives before theirs does. God damn it. Are you starting to eat before your dish arrives?
If it's cold, no. If it's hot, yes.
All right, I think that's a human. That's a human response. Good job, David.
I mean, begrudgingly a
I'm
human.
going to be honest.
Moving on, I'm going to read this one a little better. You're on a 4-mile hike with a friend, and they forgot their water bottle, but you have yours. Do you offer them any water?
This is a great one. This has happened. I will pour some water into the mouth of someone I'm with, and because I won't give them the bottle to drink from, even when they say I won't put my lips to it. It turns out when they try, they end up touching lip to top. So I will pour just a little bit.
Lip to top, you say?
I don't like lip to top.
Judges?
I think that's very human.
The part where you'd say, I'll pour it into your mouth, I think I'd rather you say no.
Well, how about you hand me your water bottle and I do that? I'm like,
no.
But no, this is the move. The move is you say, I'm not feeling that well.
Yeah.
Do you want me to just like pour it in so you don't get whatever I have?
I was sick last week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Or you do what David says, which is ask the person to genuflect before you so he may pour water into your mouth from a height.
Now, that is funny because when I'm shorter than the person I'm with, I'm not going to jump on a rock to do it.
So they have to kneel?
They've got to kneel.
Wow. So it's like a
I'm not going to make the effort.
It's like a fountain in a square in Italy, right? Just a tall man doing this and another a small little cherubic angel pouring water.
Not cherubic, but thank you.
Okay.
So 65 is not cherubic.
That's a no, I think, on Is He Human. I'm just going to say no on that
So
one.
we're split so far, 1-1. All right, next question. Your significant other plans a dinner with a couple you find extremely boring.
Whoa.
What do you do?
I don't go.
Judges?
The human thing is to go.
I feel like Amin agrees with him a little bit.
Man, I'm with David. I find a way out.
What are you saying? What excuse are you using?
Oh man,
I don't want to go. I'm learning in my post-divorce life, honesty has taken over as a real possibility in every situation where previously it was not even contemplated. And now I try for the honesty. I don't want to go out with those people.
I've learned the exact opposite. Stop being honest. Just tell them the white lie that they want to hear.
Blame work. Be like, I got to watch this game. I work in sports. It's a weird
job.
job.
Oh, my stomach. Oh, I got to go to the bathroom again.
I now realize as the one still married person at the table, I just go.
Same.
Yeah, I think the married person lesson is sometimes you do things you don't want to do, and sometimes they do things they don't want to do.
You hear that, David?
And you find the compromise.
I do not like doing things I don't want to do.
Then, yeah, I could see why it didn't work out.
No, because I did so many things I didn't want to do for 29 years. And I eventually said I don't want to do that anymore.
It didn't work.
Exactly.
It was a great run. But wait a minute. Are you going to say that 29 years is not a good run?
This is the perfect music for this conversation.
It's a hell of a run.
I think it depends on how the run was. I didn't experience the run, so I can't say.
David, let me ask you a question.
3 great kids.
David, let me ask you a
that's
question
good.
because this
That's a good
happens
metric.
to a lot of athletes, right? That they're married, and part of what keeps the marriage together is half the time I'm not here. And then when they retire, a lot of the conflict happens and
they got to go to these boring ass dinners.
It's the empty nest thing.
Yeah.
You have your kids to deal with, and all of a sudden, that's the time. Majority of divorce is either after the year or after the empty nest. That's the majority. The itch is the 7. That's different. Because when the kids disappear, you realize, oh my God, now what are we going to do?
All of our interactions are it's one-on-one now. There's no buffer.
I feel like I'm at divorce counseling right now, as in people are saying you should probably get divorced. What's next?
Moving on. David, you get asked to watch a close friend's 2 kids for 3 hours. What do you say?
Crazy.
They're in a jam. They're in a pickle.
Doesn't
You're
matter.
A close friend.
How old are the kids?
That's a big one.
4 and 8.
No. I have watched
They're
a
potty
kid.
trained. They're potty trained.
No. But then I'm a no. I've watched a kid who's under 3 months old because I can do that very well. I'm really good at changing diapers, and they don't move. So I can go about my day. And when you put a kid who can't crawl or turn over, you can just keep them where they are, and you can go away for a minute and come back, and they haven't moved. Once they start to crawl or roll over, you have to watch them. You can't even shower.
All right, not a human. Moving on.
That is totally human.
2 words, Disney Plus. Just turn it on and walk away. They're fine.
I'm not watching those kids.
Thank you.
Moving on, David, when's the last time you ate at a buffet of any kind?
Good question.
Terrible question. When's the last time any of us have eaten at a buffet?
All the time.
Hotel
Yeah, I
breakfasts.
mean, come on.
Constantly.
Love a buffet.
I guess that counts.
I will tell you exactly when. There are great breakfast buffets in Tokyo hotels, like really, really good if you've ever been, and you can go there, and it comes with the room. But
did we outlast the music?
You have to be in Japan.
Thank you.
Because they're so clean.
That's how it works.
And there's no.
You will
it's not
only
like
eat
Vegas
at a buffet in a country with 0 visible unhoused people.
Oh, it's not about homeless people. It's about garbage. It's about cleanliness. It's
I'm
about
just
no
saying,
shaking.
You're eating at the cleanest city in
I always think
the
of that
world.
one cult in Oregon that put listeria in the salad bar, and like, what if some freak accident happened and someone just like put a little drip of some bacteria in the salad bar? It happened one time, and I saw it in a Netflix documentary.
Are you anti-buffet?
No, I'm pro. I eat buffets all the time, but I feel like I'm rolling the dice every time.
Are you anti-Kool-Aid? Because one time the Kool-Aid was such that it poisoned all those.
No, but I do think about it. I'm
I did.
just saying. It
Every
just
time you have
comes
some
to mind
Kool-Aid?
when I think about Kool-Aid, I'm
You're
like,
like,
I think about the
Jonestown.
Cult. Yeah. terrible thing.
When I put on my Nikes and I think about the Hail Bop comment.
So judges on that one, what do we think?
I think we're realizing we're kind of more like David Samson than we all realize. Also,
If you don't like kids and germs, you're halfway there.
right.
Yes.
Final question.
Simple rules.
David, you get invited to go to the zoo with friends. Do you go?
No.
Not a human. Who doesn't love a zoo?
I love the zoo.
You just don't like the zoo? Is that the?
Ever since I went on a safari, I've never been back to a zoo.
Oh, it's beneath you now.
Not well.
It's
that's-
like it's just you've experienced the joy.
I also don't want to be out of control of a situation where I don't go anywhere with friends and their family because I don't want to be trapped. Or if I do, I take my own car. I always have to have an exit strategy from any position I'm in. So the answer is I wouldn't go to a zoo where, like in one car, where, oh my God, are you done with the monkey exhibit?
I'm just picturing David on one of those like 6 people bike things at the zoo where they're all like pedaling around. Come on, guys, let's go see the hippo.
I did a lot of that with my kids, Chris.
I don't believe you.
I did.
They have adult nights at the zoo now,
Oh, they
right? Where they
do.
serve like
Yeah,
wine
yeah.
and stuff, and you go with your friends, and it's like it's a cool night out. That's not a bar or something. It's fun.
It reminds me we should get Ron on the show to talk about those vultures. Speaking of
Those
zoos.
are insane. Have you stayed in a room at the Elster where they come to your balcony?
Turkey vultures.
Dude,
That's what
I
we're saying.
posted on Instagram the night before I fell and chipped my tooth. There was a massive vulture on the balcony, and it just kept staring at
Should
me.
have known.
Ooh, guys, spitball idea here. No bad ideas. What do you think tomorrow we set up a Zoom camera on one of the balconies, we put a little food out there, and we just keep a live feed of it going throughout the whole show, and we check in.
Go up to the top floor of the Elster. You don't need food. They will come. I switched rooms. They thought, oh, David Samson, you come here a lot. Let's put you on the top floor like a VIP. I walked in the room. I looked at all of the white. It's
The
really
droppings?
urine. It's not bird poop. I think it's actually urine.
Let's
We can
really
ask them
find
to
out
go.
what this is. Go ahead.
But those birds come to your balcony. You can't go on your balcony.
I say we do a science experiment. We put food
I'm
out
with
there
Chris.
for an hour.
I'm with
see
Chris.
what happens, and then maybe we put Ethan out there for an hour. see
I
what
want
happens.
Ethan holding a turkey vulture on his arm like a falconer.
You've got Ethan holding the vulture. I've got the vulture grabbing little Ethan and flying off with him.
Talk about the numbies that would get. Just
Talk
all of a
about
sudden,
the
little
lawsuit
Ethan and
that
his-
would get. Wrongful death.
Good executive
Don't
producer.
take Gabe. Not Gabe.
Who in the office is most likely to be carried away by a vulture? I had
Ethan.
David. I had
It's
Samson.
gotta be
Ethan.
David.
David Samson or Ethan.
I would assume I'm amongst the lightest.
I think Ethan's lighter than you.
I
Ethan's
Can
a
bring
slender
Ethan in
guy.
here.
He might be a little taller.
All
than
right,
you, but
when
he's
Ron
slender.
is on the phone, we're going to bring Ethan in here. We're going to ask Ron which of these two people is most likely to be carried away by a turkey vulture.
He's 140, Ethan.
I got him.
Really?
All right,
137.
Save this debate.
Wow.
Save this debate. I think the game is done, probably.
Although after last night, maybe 139.
A lot of stone crap.
We're gonna go for the visual bit of them standing next to each other and Ron saying which one would get.
That's
How
right.
tall is he?
I don't know.
More than 65?
Inches. You do this inches thing. 5'6".
He's 66 inches. He's got me. That's it.
Dude, it's
Oh,
insane.
man.
It was like just to sit there and look at like a harbinger of doom staring at me in the eye. And then I said, you know what? Maybe I'll just walk away and then it'll fly off because it's just taking. Nope. Sucker was out there for like 20 minutes.
And you didn't switch rooms?
No. I just didn't open. Like I was. Someone said, "Why'd you like go out there and kind of shoo it away?" I'm like, I'm not opening the door. What if it gets inside?
You die.
And the very next day,
And then the next day I fell and chipped my tooth.
That turkey stole your tooth.
It was the turkey. Saw it with a trench coat and a hat on.
I have an issue with buildings where there's supposed to be some sort of correlation between what floor you're on and how sort of unique and how upscale it is to be on a high floor.
Because they
That's
get
a
more
big New York
expensive
thing.
as you go higher, in New York at least.
It should be the opposite here. I've stayed at this hotel. I don't want to be on the freaking 40th floor. It's terrifying to be on the balcony.
So in theory, it's supposed to be more expensive, and that's what they do. And I've always viewed it the opposite, that I get scared up high,
Same.
and I ask for the lower floors.
Also, you have to wait so long for the elevator.
Let me get that 17.
You know what I love? I love the idea that both of you two, it's like, oh, being up there, it's too scary on the balcony. You go up to the room, and it's like, should I stay in my room? Nope. Got to see what this balcony's about. Oh, my God. That's a far way down there. Oh, whoa. Like, you can just not go on the balcony. You can just stay in the room.
Do you picture yourself falling?
Of course.
Yeah.
I have to look down. Like,
Yeah,
I
you
have to.
gotta get. You feel those jelly legs.
Yeah.
It's totally normal. It's meant to make me feel abnormal that I have these feelings, but I do get the jelly legs. I do have the vision.
Who? When you say it is meant to, that's a very third-person way of describing what something else is doing to you. Who is doing that to you?
Well, you guys, that's what you do. That's your bit. Are you? Whenever I'm on any balcony, I keep my hand on the door. Again, I don't know if I'm the only
So
one.
you don't get locked out?
Because
No, so I'm
the
grounded.
vulture might come.
No, it's just so I'm grounded.
I have a massive fear of heights too, so I relate to this. But I don't know that I go as far as holding on to the door the entire time. But that also depends on the size of the balcony.
The balconies at the Elsa are not big.
No, they are. They're very narrow.
There's no room for furniture. So I feel as though you have to have your hand on the door.
I don't know. I mean, I'm like, I don't, these things don't impact me, I think, like other people. I'm
But
not.
that's because you know how you're going to die.
I was going to say, this all goes back to Amin having a dream about his own death.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really
prophecy. It's
compare
you call it
human
dream,
experiences
call it
with
prophecy.
What was it? I'm sorry. Could
You don't know
fill
this?
me in?
Yeah, I'm gonna die in a car crash. Yeah. So, but that means anytime I'm on a plane or anything like that, and everyone's freaking out. I'm like, I always say, don't worry, that's not how I go out. I reassure everybody.
And when you get into a car, do you say, holy shit?
Dude, I was thinking about that literally on the Uber ride from the airport today. I was like, strangely, I'm less terrified when someone else is driving. When I'm driving, I think about it constantly.
Because in the dream, you're the driver.
Am I the driver? I don't know. I can't remember.
That's an important note.
But I know I feel a great amount of fear when I'm driving.
Have you noticed friends that are like, oh, I'm going to catch the next one? Like when you're like, I'm going to go get an Uber. And they're like, I'll meet you there. I got to go upstairs and go to the bathroom first. You go ahead. By the way, we have a video, an update from Stugotz. Stugotz and Billy are at Radio Row. He's talking to Cam Jordan.
Oh, we have an update from New Orleans.
And I'm being told the Old Spice guy. I don't know what's in this, but it's apparently a funny video. Here you go.
Listen to me. I love you.
I appreciate you.
No, I love you.
I-
I love you. I love
what?
you. I love you, man.
Okay.
All right. There's not enough.
Hey,
listen,
I was feeling left out.
We're not spreading enough love in the world right now, and I want to spend my week telling people that I love them. So I love both of you guys.
I
Okay.
appreciate
and I love you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Kim doesn't though.
We're going to be very intrepid about the usage of love.
I think he's overusing
I
it, if I'm
deeply
gonna be
enjoy
honest.
your company.
I love you.
Yeah.
I don't care what you feel. I don't care how you feel about me, sir.
Hell yeah.
Let me just say this to you down there.
Yes.
I love you.
Hey, I love you, Old Spice
Did you say
guy.
it to me?
It's catching hold. I love you too.
Oh, this is great.
Overused.
I
can't
have
stop.
deep affection for everyone,
Yeah.
but will retain my love for the ones that I truly love.
Cam,
Damn it.
the love is growing.
The fact that I'm carrying you with me shows you how much I care for you.
So a lot of love. A lot of love at Radio Row.
I don't like Billy leaning in the way he was leaning in. I thought that he was critically ill. We went through this yesterday. Now he's on air doing his job, which is great, having recovered from being...
Wait, what are you mad at?
That video appeared to me as though Billy was, instead of facing out, he was facing toward the guest while talking. I assume you all noticed that. Right there.
Yeah.
When you are sick with norovirus or whatever it is that he had, don't you think you ought to be speaking straight ahead?
Yeah, but first of all, the idea that germs are like, can't make a left. I'm just going to go straight here if he talks. But Billy missed the whole day and got medication. Like, he was told by a doctor, you take this 24 hours later, you won't be contagious. So that's what.
What, Dr. Seuss?
Man, that's
Antibiotics take 48 to 72 hours to kick in.
Okay.
I'd like to not be sued by the Old Spice guy. So let's maybe just keep
Can't
our
sue someone.
theories about
For non-disclosure of norovirus. I'm just
Not yet.
saying that.
I don't think
Listen.
any of us have a firm grasp on what's currently legal right
And is
now.
Billy wearing the same shirt as he is behind us?
He sure is.
Can we go back to that video?
Yep.
Is there a chance that that's the shirt that I'm looking at? No.
It looks the same.
It feels the same, but I don't think
It
is
looks
the same.
like a shirt out of the collection of that guy whose shirt you were
Dan
wearing.
flashes.
Is that Kyle Brandt behind Billy?
The more intricate the
Sloppy
design, the more
steaks.
expensive the shirt.
What was the name of the guy who designed that shirt?
Robert Graham.
Robert Graham.
No one's ever heard of Robert Graham?
Tim Robinson.
I'm a little shocked at
RG1.
that. Without his own show.
I'm glad that the Old Spice guy stayed in character, which I guess that's what he's paid to do.
I love you. Thank you.
The Old Spice guy was seeing Jake from State Farm.
He got cupped.
Glow up and was like, I need a...
Did you notice that?
What
Old
happened?
Spice guy?
What happened?
Again, I noticed it on the video. Did anyone not see it?
He got what?
Go on.
Do you know what cupped is?
Oh,
I thought you said something
the
else.
circles on him. He had
Yes.
circles on him. I didn't notice that.
So I don't. I guess we should go back to him, and maybe I saw it wrong, but I
thought you were saying a different word.
Yeah, we all heard
Cups?
something else.
He's cupped with a P is what you said.
I
heard a different.
David, we all heard.
different kind of spice.
I think that's a cup mark.
I think that's a shadow of his microphone.
Yeah, that's the shadow of a microphone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's very
This
circular.
man's whole gig is having flawless skin and being muscular. And
Right? Like,
having a
why
deep
would he
voice.
cup himself prior to Super Bowl Radio
He
Row?
is shirtless for the audio audience, I guess. We
Just
should also
This
point
is a
that
very
out.
Radio Rowy clip. There's a product placement. There's a what is that? There's a train going over us right now.
How is that possible?
I took my headphones off to be like, is there a plane?
As a New Yorker, that's not a great sound.
Look,
that was horrifying.
I don't like downtown Miami. I'm just gonna throw that out.
Let me
there.
tell you something. Beats the hell out of South Beach.
That's true.
Boy, I guess have you guys?
Granted, there are vultures and questions
turkey
about
vultures,
whether
healthy
something
ones.
is.
I don't
happening
understand
that
how
might-
we
real
just
estate
heard a
vultures as well,
plane like
but-
that. So the
That feels
sound
like a
of
Miami
a
problem, not a this
earthquake.
building problem.
The sound of an earthquake is the sound of a train. If you've ever been in an earthquake, it sounds as though a train is coming into your room when you're in an earthquake. The sound of this, Wait, you guys are making this up, right?
No, that's a plane. It's just a plane.
They
flying
can't
over.
come this often.
No, that's not a plane, Chris. That's something in the air ducts. I don't know what, but something.
Okay.
So I would have sworn
Perhaps
it
a
was a
spirit.
plane, but now I'm open to the idea that it's a ghost.
Oh, let's go back.
Maybe
to
Dan's hungry.
To the Is the stomach rumbling?
I lost my train of thought. I'm very sorry, but that scared me.
I wanted to.
Don't worry, we were just making fun of your shirt.
The Miami Beach has come out with an ad campaign actively telling people not to come to spring break.
We've done this for a couple of years.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, a couple of years.
The
they've
one
been
where
doing
it looks like a reality show. Because I'm watching this. It's like the worst show ever, and then I realized, oh no, this isn't a show. This is an ad, and I thought to myself, wow, how many places in the world advertise do not come here?
It's a cyclical thing. If you live down here, you agree with this. If you live on Miami Beach, I came down to Fort Lauderdale as a spring breaker way back in the 80s.
What was that like?
It was fantastic, but not for people who live there.
Hot water bottles as far as the eye could see.
No.
Well, I think the local business owners though don't. So I guess it's mixed. Some of them do like it. Some of them lose a lot of business now.
It's a bit of an issue that they increased the parking to $100 so no one can park, no one can afford to.
South of 23rd Street, I think.
Which
yeah.
is crazy. But it's like when Ultra comes to town, the people who live right around here, they leave. They don't want to be around for that type of festival, but the people who go to it are super happy and high and loving it. So I'm completely in favor of what my bitch is doing. They've done it for an economic reason, and they've said that it's better not to have these spring breakers.
But I guess my question is still, how many places on earth have ad campaigns actively telling people don't come here?
I don't think it's the same shirt. We're putting this up now, not to interrupt you, but I think it's a different shirt.
Different shirt.
It's
it is a
definitely
different shirt.
Judge's rule.
But it's the
different shirt.
same. I bet you it's the same make.
Dan Flash.
They're both loud.
No, I'm saying the same designer.
Oh, the brand's loud.
Is that a brand?
No, I was kidding. It's just a lot of
Okay,
shirt.
thank you, Chris. Can we find out what brand that is? Does he have a deal?
I'm currently Googling Robert Graham.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Billy does not have a wardrobe deal.
He does not? Okay.
I would think this might have been like a 4-pack situation.
The
from, like,
Costco
Amazon.
4-pack undies? Is that what he comes in
That's not.
shirts?
It's not criticizing the quality, but if I know Billy, he's looking for a bargain, and so he's gonna find. All right, I like the way that shirt fits. Let me get 4 of them.
Well, Dan Flashes is a very aggressive brand, though, so you got to keep that in mind.
Can I give you the Wikipedia note under popular culture, a subsection on the Robert Graham page that I just located? This is the shirt that David Samson was blaming us for not appreciating. American Idol judge Randy Jackson frequently wears Robert Graham shirts on the show. And the contrasting shirt cuffs have been closely identified with the character Cameron Tucker from the television show Modern Family. So just to give you a sense visually
It's
of what
gonna
that
be a
might
no
be
for
like.
me, dog.
Yeah. You walk by a store and you see 50 guys who look like, just like me, fighting over very complicated shirts. You go in. Yes, you do. You go in. Dan Flashes.
David has no idea what's happening at this point.
I'm not going to be embarrassed about shirts that I like. I like designs. I wore one last night.
I know you did.
And I think I look better than your windbreaker, your members-only windbreaker.
I think my windbreaker looks great.
They have a shirt there that costs $2,000 because it's so complicated.
That's not the shirts I buy. Those are limited edition, very unique pieces.
Oh, man.
I'm hearing just Dominique in the back of my head yelling at me to take over the show, and I've been ignoring it for a while. And I finally want to get to a story that I brought in early this morning to Chris. Because a lot of people got in my mentions over the last couple of days about a breaking news story of its own.
Bro, I'm Marcus Jordan. I'm Michael Jordan's son. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just trying to get home. And I made a wrong turn. Okay? And clearly, we would just like to get our car off of the train track.
It's
which
true.
we were
I
not
can
trying to be
confirm.
on. But that's why I had to get you out of the car. Okay? Because I hear spinning tires. I hear slurred speech from you. You're driving on train tracks. I'm not slurring anything. And I'm letting you know. I have concerns. Well, okay? For I your level of appreciate impairment that. Driving a vehicle, I can't let you back behind the car and drive a vehicle. I appreciate your concern. Yeah, I don't want. But I am not inebriated. I'm not anything that cannot drive home.
90464
The thing is, my job is to keep everybody safe. I'm not familiar with this area. I made a right. I thought I was making a right onto the highway. I made a right onto the fucking train track.
Where did you turn at, man?
I wish I could tell you, but
I'm glad we blurred out the cop faces.
And you missed the best part of the video.
Wait, hold on. I want to
Unless
set up.
I didn't
I
hear
need
it.
to set up the visuals. This is Michael Jordan's son, as
Oh, is that who that was?
as he had noted, Marcus Jordan, standing in front of his luxury automobile, which was pointed the wrong way, literally on a bed of cartoon train tracks. And that is where the police found him, thanks to this body camera video, which is a fraught concept, but very useful for content, it turns out, on a day like today. David, what was your objection?
My objection is that there's a rule that you're told as a celebrity or as a child of a celebrity. It's a very simple rule. You do
Did
not
Alan
when
Alda
you're-
teach you this?
When you're pulled over, Vince Namoli did. Anybody? Vince Namoli, former owner of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Vince Namoli got pulled over in Tampa and said, "Do you know who I am? I am the owner of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays." And he then got summarily not let off.
We played the portion where he dropped the name. I don't know if you didn't hear it.
So I missed that.
Yeah, it was
So
at the very
Vince
beginning.
Namoli came to an owners
Good
meeting
listening.
after that and said, "Hey, here's a lesson. Don't ever say that." And so that is what is taught, like in owners meetings, the first time you get the handbook, like you never talk about.
The guy who tried to
guy.
do this and didn't get away with it said, pro tip,
don't do that.
The real question is, how do I let them know that I'm Michael Jordan's son without saying it?
You just give the ID and you hope that they make the connection.
If you have to say it, you're not famous enough to talk your way out.
Bang.
I think that is unfortunately the rule, David. I think Jess has articulated it well.
Earlier, I told you guys the story about how I got in by just,
Oh no, we're winding back around to that.
There's a flip side to that coin, which was
later that week, trying to get in somewhere. And the bouncer, I say, yeah, it's just me and my buddy. And he looks at me and he's like, and you are? And I say, come on, man.
Shot some finger guns at him.
Yeah, man, I'm on Sports Nation, whatever. And he looks at me and he says,
You started giving him an A-block worthy take.
Oh, well, I'm just like, I just put out the chum so that he said, oh, man, like, what do you think is going to happen when? And he looks me up and down and says, I watch ESPN every single day of my life. I ain't never seen your ass. And a bolt of lightning came from the sky and hit me. And everything just, and I was like, I started stuttering, and I knew I lost it right there. And I tried to be like,
I am.
And you turned around and walked away?
That's so uncomfortable.
Luckily, someone I knew was walking in like, he's good, but not.
That's good timing.
No, it's bad timing. I needed it before he said it loud in front of everybody. And I started stuttering and stumbling, and instantly, all the mask of celebrity and cool that I had was gone.
Can you help me? Is this the Jordan who was with Scottie
Yes,
Pippen?
yes.
Wife?
Okay, so
was
so,
he with Scottie Pippen? There's a
no,
woman.
So
in the
they've the saga.
That's
so
gone?
So Marcus and Larsa Pippen were guests on my show. I was called in a headline in the New York Post, miserable by them for casting aspersions upon their relationship. So the reason people keep on getting in my mentions about this is because I am the foremost journalistic authority on Marcus, Jordan, and Larsa Pippen, who have since broken up. And so this
who's
is
with someone else.
This is a thing. A woman who is not Larsa Pippen, definitively.
Do you know that for sure
yes,
from the video?
I've examined the fuller tape. We had to cut that down. There's more. But I don't take a special pleasure in watching that video. I just think that he's checking every box on funny thing a vaguely notable person would do if their car was on a train track. It's
He
like
said
it's-
inebriated.
It's cartoon shit.
You're not supposed to say that
If
word.
I may, I think generally this makes me sad. However, it does remind me of the best Reno 911 clip of all time, which is the drunk DUI stop where the officer and the drunk guy are doing a dance routine, and then at the end he says that he's drunk. It's so
but
good.
he gets him as like,
She's like, "Are you a dancer?" And he's like, "No, I'm just drunk." And she's like,
Jess, that video, I knew Twitter X was cooked when I saw videos about police misconduct, like highlight montages, include that clip.
Come on.
No, please stop.
Absolutely. This has been recirculated as actual body cam footage in lots. And again, am I revealing that I also click on those montages? Perhaps.
But then you get more of them, according to the algorithm.
Look, we're not our clicks.
You are.
We are not. This is a belief. This is a take I have. We are not our clicks.
Really? Say that again.
We are not our clicks.
Yes. You hear that, Zach Harper?
Our true preferences are not expressed by what we click on. We just happen to click on them sometimes.
Well, the algorithm's not like, ooh, you must really love and agree with this. The algorithm's like, ooh, here's him spending more time on this type of content. I'm just going to keep feeding it to him, spoon feeding it over and over and over.
I am being preyed upon like an animal being picked apart by a vulture, by the algorithms.
Turkey vulture.
By the way, I want to find out what Ron McGill's For You page is like, and I want to get him on the phone to talk about these vultures after the break. Professional.